Hello, everyone. So today in a different location I am, and I'm trying to maneuver this phone, but we are back with Pimpy today. Welcome back, Pimpy. Good to see you again.
Hi, sweetie. How
And
are you? You look absolutely radiant.
thank you so much because I'm under the lamp. But
It's not
but
the lamp. You actually look relaxed a little bit, huh?
yeah, well, the last day of me being in Poland, everyone. So then I will move when I charge my phone. I'm gonna move to different location, a little bit less radiant. Pimpy, few things. First, I wanted to ask you, as we know, what was it, Wednesday, Thursday, doesn't matter, JP, like almost like JP Morgan, but not quite, just Jerome Powell, right? What a
Mhm.
similarity there. He had this announcement, and right after this announcement, I want to start with this. The gold price went down. For quite some time, gold was holding on over 1800, 1850, something around this range.
Yeah.
And then I was watching because I'm like this kind of obsessed with checking stuff, a little bit compulsive, obsessive. And I saw the price of gold went down below 1800. And today, before we connected, I checked again and it was back over 1800. So my first question to you is, since you know a lot about precious metals and all the shenanigans, can you explain to me what did they do to gold? Why gold went down, and what you project from here
So we're looking at
onwards?
it was on July 20 or January 25th. It was holding around the 1850. So here's what we see happening, and this isn't this is what we see happening right now with gold and silver. First of all, people have to understand that every single thing we're finding out is manipulated. The inflation number, you heard Jerome Powell say, oh, well, inflation is slightly above 2%. Well, no, they're reporting 7%, but we know it's double digits. So they're lying, they're manipulating it. Oh, our unemployment numbers look good. No, they went back to the Obama era of reporting unemployment numbers differently, which means if your benefits run out, then they consider you as going back to work. So what you want to look at is the job participation numbers. We know that the cryptocurrencies are being manipulated right now. We know that gold and silver is being manipulated. So you have to ask yourself why. We know the stock market's being manipulated through quantitative easing. Why? Whatever this bigger agenda is, they can't allow it to fall apart this early. They're not ready, I don't think. And we know that the central bank digital currency right now is being forced everywhere. So whatever this plan that they have, it's obviously slipping through their fingers. But at the same time, what do we see happening with gold and silver? They keep dragging the prices down, and then all of a sudden, banks start buying tons of it. Okay, so they're just manipulating their prices down so they can pick it up really cheap before whatever it is they plan on doing, they're going to do. So what I tell people is, if you're watching gold and silver and you want it to go up in value, don't be disappointed. Just understand that right now it's on sale. Buy as much of it as you can. Because if you haven't figured this out, listen to the Chris Marcus compare, where gold and silver was this time last year during the silver squeeze when it went up. The funny thing is this, the premiums are way higher today with the lower silver price than they were when silver went up. So back then the premiums weren't that high, but they are now. And it's been that way all year long. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that the silver demand and the precious metals demand are there, despite what the markets tell us. People need to stop paying attention to the value of gold and silver on the spot market because it's not real. So we are getting in a financial crunch. It's a combination of things, and what you're seeing, you know, they're trying to tell us that gold and silver is gone down in value, but we are watching every day a new record set on the amount of gold that people are buying every day. So how is it that the demand is there and the prices are going down? Well, they're going down
Exactly.
because the powers that be are manipulating. So I just tell people, look, buy, 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 buy. Just buy. Consider this an opportunity to add more to your stack, as long as it's down there, because it's going to, Ralphie was talking about how you figure out the price. So if you take the money supply and the debt that's there and you divide it into the how they normally do it for revaluing gold and silver. He said silver could be anywhere between $500 to $1,000 once this is all done, because the money supply is too out of whack right now, and it's never been this bad before. So we're just talking about silver, and how you come up with that idea is you take the amount of debt, go to Fort Knox, how much money does or how much gold does the United States own, divide it into there, and then take the ratio of 15 to 1, because that's what it normally is, and that's how you come up with the value of silver. So again, silver is the poor man's gold right now. Buy. That's all I can keep
But
telling people.
but Pimpy, so this is what you just said. This reminds me what Jim Rickards said. That's what he did. Like, he took the whole amount of money, he divided it, and then he came up with this, that by 2026, 1 ounce of gold should be $15,000 at least of worth. But my question is
higher
this.
now. I would say it's higher, but we
Higher,
think it's higher.
right?
But they're being conservative. So 15,000 an ounce, and if you divide that by 15, because the ratio is 15 to 1, then you got $1,000 ounce of silver. So that sounds about right.
Yes. Okay. So that moment before that speech, that announcement, I was watching gold, and gold was still going up in price. Okay. Like, people were buying this because of the uncertainty, correct? And then after the speech, yeah, literally, but the price right after the speech went down. So I wonder now, let's go into this, because this, and I speak English, maybe not absolutely perfectly fluently English, however, I understand English. But I was listening to that guy, Jerome Powell, and I swear to God, I couldn't understand what he was talking about. So I had to go on YouTube. Yeah, I went on YouTube, on other YouTubers, and I was like listening to them, translating his speech from English into English that I could actually understand. So pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, he didn't really announce anything except that he will announce in March what are the interest rates, how they are raising them, and what scale, and how they're going to divide it, as I understand, right?
Yeah. So what he did, this is what he said, just in a nutshell. So what he's saying, and this is why the markets are manipulated. So basically, the threat of the market crashing, they don't care. He said, so they're still tapering. Tapering means a quantitative easing. Tapering, for those people who don't understand, is when the government stops artificially pumping up the stock market. That's why it's manipulated, because they spend 120 billion per week or something like that, buying bonds and buying up the assets, and basically the people are like, oh, the market's been going up for years. No, it's artificially pumped. The government is buying these assets. This isn't good. You don't want them owning this much assets. So they said, okay, so tapering is when they start reducing the amount of money they put in the markets, and you're going to start seeing the real market numbers. In other words, it's going to crash. Now you add that into the fact that interest rates are going to start every time they even as much as introduce any kind of interest rates, the market starts to crash. Now, the funny thing is, when Trump was in office, it didn't affect the market. They went up several times, but now they're going to. Every time they try to introduce any interest rates. So what Jerome Powell said is, we're going to raise the interest rates 4 times this year. What happened to gold and silver? The price went down. No, that's the wrong response. That's not how it happens. The threat of a crashing economy, raising interest rates, yeah, everybody goes to sound money. They go to the items that keep their purchasing power. Gold and silver keep their purchasing power. So everybody's like, what the hell just happened? Like I was saying, gold was, I'll tell you right now. So we're talking about on the 25th, right? So gold is sitting up there around 1854 or so. Yes. Then all of a sudden, all the way between the 25th and the 28th, it drops all the way down to 1780. Now it's 70
exactly.
bucks. That's a huge drop in gold. But you have to ask yourself, why? How is this possible?
Yeah, that's why I'm here with you. That's why I'm here with you. I'm like, this is what the heck?
So history tells us this is how gold and silver respond to certain events in our economies. For whatever reason, this time it's doing the opposite. The only conclusion you could come up with, it's absolutely and purposely being manipulated to benefit those in power. That's all it is. They're trying to buy up as much as possible. Poland just bought 100 tons of gold. What was it last week? I think that's the most they've ever bought in their history. So why? If gold is bad and they're trying to tell us, they're trying to convince us, oh, strong job numbers, man, the economy's coming back. No, it's not. It's a lie. They know this. Our supply chains are disrupted. Many places are still on lockdown. And I got to give kudos to Boris Johnson. It's only because he got caught holding parties without masks.
Exactly. Yeah,
They
it's just
lift up all the
pathetic there.
mandates.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so don't trust the market numbers. Okay, you guys don't. Gold and silver has different types of value besides monetary. And the more you purchase it, the more you have it, the safer you are. You want out of the system. You absolutely want out of the system. But don't be discouraged by the when the numbers go down. Like I told people, even if it goes down to $1 an ounce for each one of them, that people are like, man, would you be mad? I was like, no, because I'd be buying up a storm. We know those aren't the real numbers.
All right, but Pimpy, okay, but there is a moment when one wonders. We buy those gold and silver coins or bars to store the value. But my question is, how this can go on if even when we have this silver and gold, they are still manipulating it like they are doing, right? They're gonna raise the interest rates, so maybe they even push the price lower than it is right now for silver and gold. My point is this: when is this moment when this can no longer be pushed down? Because
right now what we're seeing is on the comics, the contracts, the amount of contracts that they have outstanding is really low, and the physical inventory has been almost depleted for silver. You can see it's way down. So you can always say, wow, they can't manipulate it much longer. They can't, and they always find a way to do it. But the truth of the matter is, eventually they can't. When we did the silver squeeze, it's the anniversary of the silver squeeze this weekend. It's 1 year ago. And when the people around the world decided, let's see what we could do, and they started buying silver, and caused a huge shortage. Well, it's never recovered. The silver squeeze is still happening. More people now than ever are buying up the precious metals. So we pay attention to what's going on in the physical inventory and think about the demand around the world. So in order for us to meet world demand, you have to mine, at least 1 billion ounces. We've been deficit of the 1 billion ounces now for 6 years. So there's a shortage. Now, people want to know when the prices are going to go up. Well, think about this. What do we need silver for? All components and anything that's technology. Eventually, they're not going to have it, and they're going to go, we need it. We all have it. So if you want it, you're going to have to buy it from our price. It's getting there now. Somebody has bought $462 million worth of silver. If they're going to push us into this Green New Deal in order to make solar panels, in order to make electric cars, for your computers, for your cell phones, you have to have silver. There's not enough there. There's a record amount of gold and silver and jewelry were sold last year. A record amount of gold and silver was sold on the retail side. Even though the prices are down, the premiums are still high and people are paying them. That's how you know the demand's there. Just keep stacking. If people want to know, when is that going to stop? When there's none there, and it's getting close. It's really can't. At least you can recycle gold. People recycle that, but don't recycle silver.
So Pimpy, now let's do this hypothetically. When he comes back in March and he will announce whatever is this percentage of interest rates going up, right? Like 4 times, you said. So how, from your standpoint, looking at this, how this will affect number-wise gold and silver for this year from his actions, from Fed actions?
So a couple of things we've learned in the markets, besides the fact that they're manipulating. Cryptocurrencies obviously are not the safe haven. They did not respond the way people had anticipated. No, Bitcoin is not the next gold. The point I'm trying to make is this. What happened is we've seen people selling out of riskier assets and going over to buy gold and silver. Record number of people, record numbers of amounts of gold and silver being sold. That's why you can't trust the price. Once the interest rates go up, so what's happening right now is companies everywhere borrowed a ton of money. There's no interest rate there. It's free money. That's basically what they did. And what do they do with it? Well, they, bought back their stocks. They, different things with their companies. But eventually, when the interest rates go up, they have to pay that debt back. You have to pay that loan back, and now you have interest on it. So your debt becomes even more expensive. And even as much as 0.25% for some of these people is an astronomical amount of interest on what they've borrowed. Somebody's going to have to pay for that, because you're going to see we already have a ton of zombie corporations. These are corporations that just exist in name. So these corporations aren't going to be able to pay it back. They're all going to bankrupt. Is what's going to happen. So you're going to see job loss. You're going to see supply issues. You're going to see havoc in the streets. You're going to see protests. You're going to see civil unrest. There's going to be a shortage of food. That's why I keep telling people, man, it's not fear mongering. There's nothing wrong with being prepared for what happens just in case. But that's what's going to happen. Companies are going to start folding. And in my opinion, I think they're just trying to purge this all into a handful of corporations that, control everything. We're seeing it happen now with Walmart and Amazon. So you have to be out of the system. Gold and silver is our way out of the system. Don't worry about the numbers that you see on the spot market. Gold and silver carry other value that people are not thinking about. The fact that you have it in your possession, you can use it to barter with, gives you your freedom outside of the system. Will gold and silver go up? Yeah, it's not going to have a choice. They don't have a choice. The Fed and whatever these powers that be have really painted themselves in a corner that they can't get out of. You can keep lying to the people for so long, but when I see what's happening in Canada with the truck drivers over there, that thing is way bigger than they're letting people know. But the fact that they felt necessary to take Justin Trudeau and hide him, tells me that these people, their politicians, fear for their life. Well, why do you feel for your life if you've done nothing wrong? You know what I mean? So if they're running scared, and they had him leave, this tells me that they at least prepared for the idea that people might rise up against their politicians. That's what the first thing that crossed my mind. Why are they taking him out? It's just a convoy protest, But revolution, I think, is what they're worried about. And we're starting to see it worldwide. People everywhere are starting to rise up. So the point being, I think their last ditch effort is just to say, screw you guys, just kill the monetary system and let everything go to crap. Everybody will fend for themselves, and when they'll come back later on and try to clean up the mess. And that's all part of that great reset. Again, I'm trying to connect all the dots for everybody, but
okay. So, but let me. Okay, but when he comes back in March and he will announce the first interest rates going up, let's say whatever it is, 1%, 2%, I don't know. What besides those credits that people took for real estate, all of this is massive difference. And the same in Poland, people took the credits for the houses and they didn't, because they didn't do the research. They listened to someone who signed the contracts like, oh, this is the best. So they didn't have this guarantee payments for like 30 years, just for like 2-3 years, and they are screwed.
They didn't fix it. They should fix it. That's
exactly.
You brought a good point.
Exactly.
So if you guys got a mortgage and you have a variance or a change in interest rates, go back, refi, and lock it in at the fixed rate. You want it low. You don't want it changing up and down. You want it to be low or fixed. You want it to be fixed interest rates. You don't want a variable one, because once the interest rates start going up, then your payments become more expensive. So fixed mortgage rate is what you want right now. Okay, so yeah, but again, you see what happened when they announced the increase in interest rates, how it starts to affect people and corporations, businesses, anybody who's borrowed money.
So now let's go into crypto, Pimpy, because lately, and I tell you, I really, really believe I was ready to dive more into this. I started my research and I am now really hooked on getting as much knowledge as I can about cryptocurrencies. And it started in Poland and I will continue. So, few things. I was watching one of your very recent videos, which was great, by the way, that you presented the chart for Bitcoin, that there is a system of, like, I think we had enough of cycles by now to do some kind of repetition. I know it's hypothetically, however, there is a certain repetition on a certain scale. And you did this chart and you showed people, which is great, because I'm really getting into the subject now, because I'm analyzing this whole phenomena with crypto.
Yeah, you're talking about Wyckoff is what it's called.
Yes, it
So
was
Raymond
great
Wyckoff,
video.
Yeah, so Raymond Wyckoff is the creator, the inventor of this. So during the days of the Depression, he found out that there is a pattern that you see within, inside the markets. He spotted this, and he was explaining based on the human emotions, how these patterns take place. Well, if you know this in advance, you as a person of, like the elites, if they know this in advance, well, they use that as a weapon to drain people of their money. So what I was saying was, we have enough data now. Going back to prior to 2017, when the Bitcoin first really started to take off, the charts, the graph lines up almost perfectly. So that's exactly what they're doing, is they're using the Wyckoff method to manipulate cryptocurrencies to really just get people to panic and part with their money. And so what they do is they accumulate a bunch of an asset. So it could be used on anything. They buy a lot of one asset. When they're ready, they get a bunch of people, the media, everybody else, they do it themselves. It's called the composite man, where the person comes out, hypes it up. Oh man, you want this? And then it starts to go up in value. People see it and they go, ooh, I want this. But by now it's already well on its way up. They're selling their cryptos when it gets to the top, making a ton of money. And then when it gets up there, they do things to smash it back down. So what happens is, as everybody's buying at the peak, they're selling at the peak. Then all of a sudden, they bring the price back down, and then everybody starts selling it. And then when it gets to the bottom, they buy it, because they take the same money that they made from the profit after they sell them, and then they buy even more coins when they bottom out. So if you know what you're looking for, then you know what behaviors, and you know their timing, then you can do the same thing. You can time it and you can benefit from it the same way they are.
Yes. So this is psychology, Pimpy. This is massive psychological operation.
Yeah, it's exactly what they're doing, is they use the human emotional response to the gains and losses of money against them as a weapon to deplete them of their money. Because most people that are into cryptocurrencies, how many of them actually know anything about cryptocurrencies? They don't. They're jumping on it for pure speculation reasons. They're amateurs. So when it goes up really good, everybody gets excited. They jump into that cryptocurrency, yay. But by then, it's already gained half of, or 75% of its true value. And then, it gets to a point and everybody's all happy that they're making a little bit of money. And then all of a sudden it drops all the way down and they get panicky and they start selling with it. Well, you shouldn't. Do the opposite of what your emotions say. So when it drops down, accumulate more. That's what they do. Buy more. So buy on a dip. You hear us all the time. So right now we're in, it looks like accumulation stage. There's no doubt about it. I mean, right, you're seeing part of that graph in accumulation stage where it goes up and down just enough to keep you interested, just enough to keep you hopeful that it's going to start going back up. And then it comes down again, goes back up. When you start to see it go up a little bit, what do? Oh, it's going to go back and rebound. So you start buying into it again, and then it comes back down, and then you sell. So don't do that. Just keep accumulating. So that's where we are right now. And it's going up, down, driving people insane. And then eventually it's just going to take off again. So according to, if the chart is right, then after the first week of February, we should start to see cryptos do their next move and go up. Now, again, this is just a guesstimation around when, but it's around that time. So we'll see cryptos take off then. Now, the only difference this time around versus before is we have other factors that were never there before. Now you have, the pending market crash. You have the interest rate issues. You have the inflation issues, which are other factors that were not there before. So if there's any one thing that might knock us off the so-called Wyckoff track, it would be those outside factors that weren't taken into consideration this time around. But again, don't panic. I bought specific cryptos and I said, look, I'm just gonna keep them. If they go down to zero, then that's it. But if they go up higher, then I have in my mind, what point I want them to hit before I sell. So if they
Right.
reach it, good. But if not, they're not going nowhere. I'm just holding on to them. I don't panic and start going, and start selling everything. I do keep an eye on the market all the time. But cryptocurrencies, you can't have a bad heart and invest in it because it will kill you. It's too much of an emotional ride. The volatility is too much, and it's really unpredictable. But
But Pimpy, I
96%.
think people don't have patience, and they really are more using this like gambling than
What is? It's for a
thinking
lot of
in a
people.
long run. Like you did this. I actually, by the way,
And
in this video, when you at the end of the video you showed specific cryptos like Bitcoin, Ethereum, I forgot what else was there, Solana, maybe Polkadot, I don't remember. Anyway, those two I know for sure. And you said how much you would make on this if you just hold on to them for a year. Okay, certain amount you spend. Yeah, and this is the key, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was March of 2020 when we went into lockdown. The markets crashed, cryptocurrency, everything crashed, everything went down. Even gold and silver went down. And then everybody's all doomy and gloomy. I said, no, wait. There's a reason why rich people love market crashes. I said, we're in lockdown. You know this. That's the reason why these values dropped. You can actually take advantage of this situation and make money off it. So we created a fictitious portfolio. And what I did is I took certain stocks. In the beginning, I was kind of looking at hotels, but then later on I changed them in because everybody wanted to know more about gold and silver mining. So I did those down there. But there was cryptocurrencies, and I picked a handful of them, but the three main ones were Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. I said, so at the time, I think Ethereum was $147 and Bitcoin was like $6,800 and 14 cents for XRP, just to pull those three out of the entire portfolio. I said, let's just pretend that you put 10,000 in each one of these and let's see how they do, because I know I'm right. They're going to go up in value. They're down because of an event. They're not down by natural causes. Something happened to cause them to go down. So common sense tells me that they're just going to go back up, which we'll talk more on that here in just a minute. So in 1 year, the $10,000 that you would have got is, I can tell you real quick, give me 1 second because I have the chart
I remember Ethereum, it was $230,000 within 1 year.
290.
Ethereum, 290, sorry. I'm sorry.
290. On your $10,000 investment, if you take out that original $10,000, your profit would have been $290,000 in 1 year. Here you go right here. So Bitcoin was $6,879. Isn't that crazy? If you'd have bought $10,000 worth, and this is not even at the highest peak because they're down now. I haven't updated this. At the time I did this chart, your pure profits were $63,808 in 1 year. XRP, if you put $10,000 into it and it was 18 cents, your pure profits would have been $34,516. And Ethereum, it was $148 at the time. After you take out your initial $10,000 investment, you'd have $281,430 in pure profit in 1 year. So, but that's what I mean. This is what the rich do. They know this. What you're seeing happen right now. I did another video showing everybody Michael Berry, who's usually playing with $600 million in the market, sold off all his stocks, everything, all his puts, everything. He's only playing with like $6 million in the markets right now. So people are like, well, why is that? Well, the rich already knew what to do. They are positioning themselves. They sold at the peak because it's artificially pumped right now, the stock market. So people with 401ks and IRAs, I'm sorry, but you're getting ready to get hit hard, because when the market crashes, so does your 401ks and everything else. That's why you need to move at least 25, 30% of it into gold or silver to protect yourself. But what you do is you just wait, let the market crash, but be ready, have cash ready. You know what I mean? I don't hold cash. I keep mine in gold and silver. My purchasing power stays the same. So even if the market crashes and the dollar devalues, then the prices of the value of gold and silver is going to go up. So when the time is right and it bottoms out and we go, okay, did we really hit bottom? Yeah. Then what you do is you start buying those stocks that you know will go right back up in value. Pepsi, Walmart, Microsoft, all those ones. This is what the rich do all the time. They all talk to each other. They got insider information, right? They start preparing themselves. They start moving their money into different types of assets that they can hold: collectibles, paintings, gold and silver,
Mm-hmm.
real
Mm-hmm.
estate, right? They got
Watches,
cash,
cars, yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
cash on hand. You know what I mean? Except for now we got bail-ins, so don't keep your money in the damn bank because they're gonna do it. So, but they keep the money with them, and as soon as the time comes and it bottoms out, they turn around, they buy all those stocks back, but now they can buy more because they're much cheaper, and they get even richer because now they got more holdings, and then they benefit from the ride back up. That's how they do it. It's a vicious cycle. They know how to do it. What you do is, I tell people this all the time: watch what they do, not what they say. When you see them all selling off all their stocks, and they are, I did a video showing everybody the CEOs of all this company are selling off their stocks. Everybody's like, oh yeah, it has to do with Trump coming back and stuff. I was like, no, no, no. They know what's going on. They'll make excuses so they don't cause panic in the market. Bill Gates selling a ton of his shares while him and his wife are going through divorce. You got the guy from Amazon, Jeff Bezos, selling billions of dollars. Well, because he's going through divorce. No, that's not why. I mean, they are, but that's not why. They say the reason for the sell-off has to do with the divorce. That's not true. But if they just arbitrarily sell off billions of dollars of their own stock, people are going to panic and they'll start selling the stocks because they're going to want to know why the owner is. And you're going to find out about it because they have to report it. Elon Musk, what is he saying? Oh, I feel responsible. I should pay more taxes than I do. So how much should I pay you guys? Oh, you guys think I should spend $10 billion. Did he? No, but he sold $10 billion worth of this stock and then sold 3 of his homes for like $60 million, and the other one was like 20 million. Well, why? What did he say? Well, I'm going to do my part to contribute to the environment. I'm not going to have those homes. No, that's not what it is. These guys are all lying to you. They're selling everything off because they know it's going to drop down and the value is going to be, it's going to lose a lot of its value, and then it's going to buy right back in the market. So you see them all doing this. They lie about why they're doing it, but the truth of the matter is they just don't want to cause a panic ahead of time. They all are jockeying to get in position financially to buy once everything crashes. And that's exactly what they're doing. So
Thank you, Pimpy. That was great. I want to ask you about cryptocurrencies in this year. Will Bitcoin reach 100,000 and Ethereum at least 15,000 this year? Because from what I came across on different channels, this is not that crazy thought, actually. I think this is very realistic this year. In spite of all of this, what's happening, and I know that there is a lot of other factors, right? What Fed will do, what other things, the war situation, etc. But even though, and I agree, I was watching cryptos, how they reacted to that announcement, and they went down, right? But then they went back again. So actually, they never went back lower than this 32K Bitcoin did. They bounced back ultimately, and now it's like
low.
Right, the new low,
So,
and it's bouncing in this range.
so the new low never goes down to the old low. And so what I mean by that is this: let's say you start off with $0. Your coin goes up to $100, but along the way it goes like 20, $27, whatever. Goes up and down, up and down. Gets up to a high. That's the highest point now. That's the new high. All of a sudden it starts dropping back down and you lose like 70% of it or so. Now you're around $30. It stays around a 30 and then it goes up to 150. So the new low, it went from 0 was the beginning low. The new low is now at $30. In other words, it's not gone down any lower than 30, and then it goes up higher than $100, which was the old high, but now you have a new high. So when you hear people go, well, that's the old high, that's the new high, that's the old low, that's what they're talking about. So you can see that Bitcoin's, even its lowest part, is that its new low is not anywhere near where the original low was. In other words, that's the Wyckoff pattern, by the way. So it does this. If this continues at the to follow the chart, then yeah, I mean, your Bitcoin probably you're looking at 3.5, 4 times the value of where it is at the highest point, not where it is now, from its highest point. I mean, that's not unrealistic. I mean, what does it say? So what do we 68,000? So let's be more realistic.
It's
So
about
doubling,
37,000 now. It's about
no, not
37,
now. You want to
38,
we want to pay attention to the high,
the
the highest
highest,
point. 60,
69,
68. Yeah. So 69. So doubling it would not be surprising to me at all. Not at all. So 140,000,
140,
150.
140.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And
now that's
Ethereum
just following that. Ethereum. So where is Ethereum's highest point, which was
around 5.
4,800. So,
Mm-hmm.
5,000, we'll just say 5,000. So for it to be around, 10, 12, anywhere between 10 and 15,000, Bitcoin somewhere between, 130, 150,000. I mean, I'm just putting some wiggle room in there. So, that's what you're looking at. And then that's not unrealistic because all of them dang near follow the Wyckoff chart. So that's realistic. That's how they do it. So when you see all these news in the media, like, China's going to outlaw this, and I reported, and I said, these are always my concerns with cryptocurrencies. But then you start to sit back and go, wow, they say this, but then they don't do it. I mean, they were saying, Russia is going to outlaw cryptocurrencies, and Thailand said they're going to outlaw, and I reported it. And the people are like, well, then if everybody's going to outlaw it, well, then it's not going to have no value. But then all of a sudden, they turn around and they
No, but
say,
then you
well,
have
no,
El Salvador, right? El Salvador, this is like legal tender, and there will be more countries like this that will
they're going,
accept,
I know. Yeah. But
right?
then all of a
So
sudden, the next week, though, here's the thing. The next week in the news is Thailand's decided that they want to use cryptocurrencies as a form of payment. And Russia said that they're going to benefit from mining cryptocurrencies. So one article says they're going to outlaw it, the next one says they're going to keep it. But this is what they do. They use the media to manipulate the emotions of people. And that's how it goes up and down, up and down. And speculators who don't know what they're doing, they buy when it's high, they're like, yeah, it's going to keep going up. But then it goes down, then they panic, and then they sell it cheaper. They buy it cheaper. They hold on to it to get to a point. Then they sell it when it's high. And you know what I mean? So they're selling to the poor when it's high, and the poor are selling back to the rich when it's low. You know what I mean? So that's what you
yes,
got to do is buy on the dip. Don't sell. Think cost average.
because I do see enormous potential in crypto. I finally understood this phenomena, and I said, you know what, gold and silver, this is like solid, but there is the crypto, and I know that you can't ignore this now. You just can't ignore it, and it depends like how you maintain your emotional state and how much research you do and how much knowledge and information you get. This is not just like you spend money and you buy the coin. Like, I understand you have to really look into this. What is the system, how they do it, and listen to people, different people, hear it, study. And like for me it's just 1 month and I'm already able to have this conversation with you and remember like what was the top for certain coins, like a lot of people don't even do this research, like altcoins, for example, altcoins. So I wonder, okay, like they said, shit coins, altcoins, doesn't matter. My point is this always the case? If Bitcoin rises, it's like this, the tide that rises lifts all the boats, right? So
Right.
is this always the case that if Bitcoin will go up, every single altcoin will rise as well, Pimpy?
Yeah.
Is it always the case?
Yeah.
Okay.
You complain all the time on my videos. The fact that if you look at the graphs on all the cryptos, they almost are always the same. Sometimes you'll see them be different all of a sudden, but they're almost always the same. Like right now, I'm looking at cryptos. I say like 90% of them all have the same graph. That means they all move lockstep together. It shouldn't be that way. If you think about what cryptocurrencies are, this is how you know there's too many speculators in there, by the way. If you think about what cryptocurrencies really are, each crypto coin has its own function, is what's supposed to happen. It has its own use cases. Well, if that's the case, they all should be looking different. Why is my coin who picks apples moving the same way as a coin that races cars? I'm just making it up as why? Why are they doing the same exact thing? It's impossible. Well, they're being manipulated, and people's emotions, they're all moving in lockstep together. So the cryptocurrencies behave the same way. Again, right now I'm looking at the graphs, like 90% of them all have the exact same picture on their graphs. No, that's it. So if Bitcoin goes up, so do all the other coins.
Okay. So now the last subject in this field is what they are trying now to do with Bitcoin in United States. I forgot what they are trying to do. Are they trying to, because you already have to pay taxes on the gains, right?
Mhm.
You already have to pay taxes. It's just Bitcoin, or is every
Don't forget, you write off the
cryptocurrency?
losses too. People forget that.
Mm.
So if you lost
But
money on the market, you can write it off.
oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, you actually don't want to
Capital
lose money,
gains,
right?
capital losses.
Okay, but I know that now they are after Bitcoin holders because they want to check if those cryptos are not used for nefarious activities. Like they are so clean, right? Those who are checking are so clean. So my point is, what are they trying to do now, Pimpy? Because I know they are doing like more regulations with Bitcoin
Oh,
and
it's
crypto.
just whatever excuse they need to try to manipulate and control the crypto market as much as possible. In other words, something that came out, which was supposed to be disruptive technology of any kind, before it's even introduced to the world. I guarantee the government's already been through it a million times. It's already been discovered, it's been created, it's been used. They figured out every little loophole, every little backdoor about any technology. Cryptocurrencies were being played with back in the 70s. You know what I mean? People don't know this, but then all of a sudden they magically popped up right when the too big to fail banks collapsed. You know, oh, magical. Why? Well, we want to introduce something to people that's going to make them feel safe and out of the system. And why do people want out of the system? Well, we just watched the banks too big to fail. So let's have something that's counter to the bank. What are the odds of this happening together? You know what I mean? No, they planned it to come out around the same time. They're going to fill the banks, but we'll introduce an alternative to the banks. And that's exactly what happened. So, you know, people got to wake up to that kind of stuff. Nothing gets done accidentally. You know, the fact that the banks collapse and all of a sudden we get introduced to a new form of banking that's out of the system, there's no such thing. So what's happening now is, yeah, do people use cryptocurrencies for nefarious reasons? Yeah, they do. Whether it's buying children pornography or buying crystal meth or guns or, you know, whatever it is. But not just Bitcoin, all cryptos. You know, the fact that
Yeah,
they
but the
single out.
same, right? But they do this with the fiat money as well.
Yes, yeah. Well, yeah. Look, you're gonna have screwed up people doing screwed up thing with any type of
Mm-hmm.
money that you have. But you know, they're also going to use that as their excuse to move us into the central bank digital currency that they monitor 100%. They're going to say this is why, so we can make sure that the criminals don't benefit. No, they will always find a way. So all cryptocurrencies, look, just like fiat dollars, just like any type of monetary system, there's always going to be people with bad intentions using whatever forms of money that is being used to pay for it or fund it. That's just a fact, all right? But it is interesting that we're seeing the media claim that Bitcoin is the choice of white supremacists around the world. I was like, what the hell? You see, how the hell would you know that? I mean, it's ridiculous. And they use as their example that one of the, and it is a website for white supremacy, but that they accept Bitcoin as donations. That's what they use as a Bitcoins are used by white supremacy. I'm so tired of this racist bullcrap. It's everybody's tired of it because it's a lie. Whenever they want you to be discouraged about something, then that thing is racist. But again, in anything that we do, you're going to have bad people doing bad things with it, but they're just going to use it as their excuse to be more involved in cryptocurrencies. This was planned
Mm-hmm.
all along, so you know, don't fall for it. What the worst thing that happened to cryptocurrency was the day they announced that these banking institutions would start selling derivatives in them, because now they're going to experience the same thing that gold and silver went through, which is constant manipulation of its value, because banks are going to make money off shorts, and then they're going to, you know, use the contracts to manipulate the market. And yeah, that was probably the biggest, unfortunately, let down for cryptocurrencies for me. But it also tells you that this is planned all along. The whole purpose of cryptocurrency is to get away from the evil bankers, but the very same people we want to get away from control that market through futures contracts. Derivatives is what they're doing. So it's there.
But in
People
the
are going,
midst of all of this, when people have enough knowledge, they can actually still find a way.
yes,
They can still find a way to protect themselves and protect their money.
Yeah, if you can learn how the game is played, that's why I brought up the Wyckoff, because I was like, look, it's we talked about this before. I heard another guy talk about this. Was it back in 2020 when he first talked about it? And I was like, oh man, he's right. You can see it. And so I've been paying attention to it ever since. But if you learn how the game is played and what to look for, like I know, don't do what they say. Watch what they do. Okay, that's just common sense. Nothing's worse than J.P. Morgan coming out saying that Bitcoin's the worst thing. It's no good. Watching the value go down. Meanwhile, his company overseas is buying up tons of it cheaper. So they use the media to manipulate things. People wake up to this, understand that again, you watch what they do, not what they say. If you know how the game's played, you'll benefit from it just like they do, and you won't lose your butt off. But that's the thing, people need to study. They need to, you know what I mean, learn how to do it.
Yes.
The big thing today that people are benefiting from is technology. Back in olden days, it wasn't as easy to communicate or learn like we do now. Nowadays, it's a lot more easier. We do it quicker. So during the silver squeeze, when they try to first push the numbers down, nobody panicked. They just bought more, and it drove the money, the value of silver up big time. And it still continues today. People are like, "What's the one last threat to silver?" Well, J.P. Morgan owns millions of ounces. If we keep screwing with them like we're doing, they have no choice. They're going to start dumping tons of silver on the market. It's going to drive the value down because it's going to saturate the market. But people should be discouraged by that. What you should say is, yes, the evil people are using their own physical inventory to manipulate the markets. Don't sell, take their silver from them. So what if the value goes down? Buy as much of it as you can. The more we keep out of their hands, the less likely they are to manipulate the market. So what would be the best thing for them to do? Allow the market to do what it does. Allow the value of the silver to go up again, and then people will start selling the silver because they want the money. They could buy it up and then start manipulating the markets all over again. You know what I mean?
It's just I sometimes really want the world not to have any money and just be operating on a different energy.
Well,
Because
people need to start getting back to community. You know what I mean? It's crazy how many people don't know their own neighbors. The truth is, I don't. I know my one neighbor next door to me. Me and him are close friends, one of my best friends. But the other neighbors, I have no idea who they are. When I grew up, we played around with each other's friends, or we knew we knew our neighbors, we knew everything. Kids don't go out of the house; they stay on the video games, don't socialize or
yeah,
cyberbullying.
but
People
the
are afraid of the
system
boogeyman.
also, yeah, everyone is working, and they didn't have time. Even like they just go to work, they come back home, they don't even talk to their children, they go to sleep.
No, it's all by design. I mean, TVs and computers been raising kids now since the late 80s. I mean, people don't want to deal with their bratty kids. It's easier for them to say, good Lord, get out of my hair, go in your room, play with your games instead of actually have to sit there and deal with your kids' emotions. It's easier that way. Of course, I'm generally speaking. I'm not saying that everybody's that way, but the majority of people are. Um, Parents don't want to deal with their kids. They really don't. They got their own problems, work all day and they, dealing with other crap. And last thing you want to do is be dealing with your own kids' problems too. And that sounds terrible to say, but that's just the truth. So we have to get back to that, having dinner at the dinner table as a family. How are you doing? What are you learning in school? It's crazy how many people have no idea the crap that's being taught at school. Critical race theory. I mean, the LBGT thing, bisexuality to second graders. It's like, how did they get there? Well, easy. People fell asleep at the wheel. You just
Yep.
assume that what's being done is right for your kids, and then you find out that it's not. So we got to get back to that. The government, well, not just the government, the evil people. We'll just call them the evil people, whoever you want to call them, the Illuminati, the New World Order, the cabal, the black hats, whatever you want to call them. They can only get away with as much as we allow them. We outnumber them. So if you're just sitting back and bitching about it and not doing anything about it, then you're part of the problem, not the solution. This is the time to start coming together as community. And this is my long way of answering that question that you asked. And that is, we have to get back to something closer to the barter system. You know what I mean? Stop allowing governments to control what's going on. Our own constitution says outside entities should not be influencing our monetary decision making. And they are. The Bank of International Settlement and the central bank digital currency, you can see them around the world. they're allowing those organizations to control our monetary policies, and that's illegal. But does anybody know that? Nah, not really. There's only a handful of people because they pay attention, but
Mm.
not everybody does. They don't have the time to do that. You're too busy out there working your ass off all day. You know what I mean? Then you got to come home and deal with your family. Nobody has time to go look into these types of things. But at the same time, that's where you're seeing a lot of people turn to stuff like YouTube. They don't want to have to go read it. They want somebody else to read it for them and explain it to them real quick so that they become informative. But unfortunately, you got a lot of people out there with misinformation as well. So, again, just take everything with a grain of salt and at
Yep.
least allow them to point you in the right direction. I pay attention to people who, they're not afraid to share their resource. Where did you get your information from? I leave the links down below in the description so you could go read for yourself. That's what I do on my channel. I just say, just don't take my word for it and go look, you know, go look. I did a video on the Zim dollar, man. People were not happy about it. They don't want to hear what I have to say, but go look. I showed you guys on the video where I'm getting my source from. And so, yeah, people want the truth, but they don't want the truth. They want their truth, which is different. They
I
want to
agree
live
with
in,
you. I
yeah, they
agree
want
with
to live,
this. Mhm.
yeah, they want to live in
They
their own
want
fantasy
they
world.
want convenient. They want convenient truth. That's what they want. And I think what happened in the last 2 years of people coming across many of those new people on YouTube talking about certain things, they have already created their opinion to that point that now they are very defensive when someone is showing them different sides of the story, and they're like
Cognitive
almost
dissonance.
attacking. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And
they've convinced themselves, and they're so convinced in what they
mhm,
believe that they refuse to hear the truth despite the amount of facts that you give them, just because they went through the process of accepting something and then believing in it so full-heartedly that they refuse to hear otherwise. One of the comments under the Zim note video that I did, this person went, "Why are we listening to this guy? This is the same guy that said that JFK Jr. is not alive." What the hell? That's your reasoning is because I said JFK Jr. is not alive. Okay. So, it's like comments like that, I get it. There's people out there that believe JFK Jr. is alive. Well, here's the thing. I'm seeing Robert Kennedy next month. So I'm gonna try to do an interview with him and then
very
corner
good.
him on this. So remember, he's the one that said if JFK Jr. is still alive, touch your nose, and he touched his nose twice and
Yes,
it put the internet in a frenzy.
yes.
I'm gonna corner him about that.
Pimpy,
Hmm.
God bless.
Yes, ma'am.
God bless.
You too,
And
sweetie.
thank you so much for your time today. And I would like to connect with you in March again, and see where we are standing with all of this. So we continue with precious metals. Check Pimpy's channel down below. Money Metals Exchange link is down below. What else, Pimpy? I'm gonna attach this great video
I
with
mean,
Bitcoin
if the people
chart.
are gonna buy, yeah, if they're gonna buy, gold and silver, I tell everybody, go check out our friends over at Money Metals Exchange. If you're a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, Pimpy, and they'll give you a free half ounce of silver. If we're right by March, you're gonna know. If I'm right about the Wyckoff, and it's not changed since 2017. If I'm right, then you're gonna
Okay.
start to see cryptos do their thing somewhere around after the first week of February. It shouldn't be that the variance. I mean, as far as it's only days, not weeks. So it has to be sometime after the first week of February. You'll start to see cryptos really run. If that's the case, then and if it follows the chart, then Bitcoin is going to be, like I said, between 130, 150,000. Ethereum between 12 and 15,000. This is going to be like in March when they were down low, and I said, if you put $10,000 in each one of these, this is what's going to happen. So the same thing, it's going to happen. Just keep an eye on the variance because around March is when they announce the interest rates. That might throw it off track, but if not,
Mm-hmm.
just
But then it's
up
gonna
there
bounce
and
up
move it along.
again. It's gonna go up again.
Yeah, they always
Yeah.
do. Look, markets always crash, but they always rebound. So what you got to
Mm-hmm.
do is do like the rich do. Focus on those companies that have longevity. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, stuff like that. Used to be AT&T back in the day, and So just focus on Amazon, Microsoft, you know, those ones. So once the market crashes and then you put yourself in position, and as soon as it starts to rebound, jump right onto those things because they always recover. All right, they always do. That's the smart thing to do, buying a dip, and that's the major dip, especially buying a crash. All right.
Pimpy, thank you so much for today, for all your
So welcome.
informations. And yeah, we live, we see, and in March we will be in a different place for
We'll
sure.
see. We'll know by March. That's for sure.
Bye everyone. Thank you for watching, and we see you soon.
Bye.